Get used to the brain stuff and everything else. It's 25 years and counting for me. And
Janze Pierre.
I feel that way every single day.
So easy, right?
I'm not searching for Janze. Good luck to everybody tonight. A new hour, wonderful, delighted to be here. NFL crew in full effect. Full college coverage here. In fact, let's dive in. I said it feels like a football Friday because the games start tonight. Quarterfinals kick off tonight, 7:30 Eastern. Miami, Ohio State, Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. We got major upset potential in a bunch of these games. So let's start with this one. Jordan, you are putting 9.5-point favorite Ohio State on upset alert against Miami. Tell me why.
Absolutely, because they can get after the quarterback. And Julian Sayin has been so good this year, but he's still a first-year starter in the second biggest now moment of his career after the loss against Indiana. And Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor on the other side. Bain had 3 sacks against Texas A&M and a dynamic, mobile, athletic quarterback in Marcel Reed. That is a difference maker. If they can protect the football, run the football with Mark Fletcher like they did against A&M, and get after the quarterback, that is an upset recipe.
Now, Joey, maybe because they lost in the Big Ten championship game, I feel like Ohio State, as the defending champs, are coming into this thing a little bit under the radar. I mean, they're going to have 4 players drafted in the first half of the first round in April. They still feel like the best team to me, despite obviously losing that tough game against Indiana. How do you see tonight?
And we're talking about a team that dealt with this last season, losing their last game of the regular season and then going on a run in the playoffs. So Ohio State's been in this situation before. Now, the key is, and I think Jordan just mentioned, the D-line of Miami with Bain Jr. and Mesidor. And when you watch Ohio State play Indiana sacked Julian Sayin 5 times. That's the most that's happened all season long. So you got to keep your eye on that defensive line of Miami getting after Julian Sayin. We sort of focused the quarterback in this game as Carson Beck, but Julian Sayin, this is his first year starting. In the biggest game of his career so far, which was the Big Ten championship game, those 5 sacks matter. Those 5 sacks bothered him. If Miami can get there with their front 4, it'll be interesting to see how Julian Sayin deals with his second straight game of dealing with pressure in his face with a D-line that can get after the quarterback.
Absolutely. Quarterback matchup, fascinating in this one. So many ways to look at it. Josh, what are you focused on?
I think what Joey just said is accurate. Like I'm thinking about Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin, 5-star, all-world, everything coming out of high school. He's been a really good, efficient, not mistake-prone player for them this year. But at the same time, if I'm watching this tonight and the entirety of the game has to fall on his shoulders, it's kind of an unfair position for Ohio State to have put him in. But that's the position Miami tries to put him in, which is why I actually think the run game for Ohio State is very pivotal in this matchup. I think they should be favored. I lean Ohio State to win the game, but upset alert, absolutely, because if they don't, and it's a bunch of 3rd and 8+ that Julian Sayin's having to come through on situationally, you just set yourself up for more of what Indiana did to you, and that's throw the crowbar in the bicycle spokes, hold you under 2 touchdowns, and that's the kind of game Miami would relish playing.
I would assume so, because Ohio State might have as good a wide receiver room as practically any NFL team. I understand they're still just college kids, but Carnell Tate is going to be a top 5 pick this year, and Jeremiah Smith could be the number 1 pick in the draft. It would be if he was eligible to come out this year. So we'll see how that plays out. Okay, let's jump to the next game. Josh, Indiana, Alabama. The Hoosiers are a touchdown favorite. Are you putting them on upset alert?
Yeah, I think they're going to get beat, actually. I think Alabama's going to win the game, but that entire belief is predicated on the idea that something pretty abnormal is going to happen here. I believe you're going to see a better version of Alabama in this game, and just in general this time of year than you've seen all year. They've been in a little bit of a unique position in that they've been tightrope walking all year. Part of that is because they haven't been able to run the ball, and I don't necessarily expect that to change a lot here. They're probably in a better position to do it because of health, but I don't expect the ground game to turn around, Greeny. What I expect is the precision, the execution they had no shot of putting on the field against Georgia is here because team health is probably better than it's been since the second scrimmage they had of fall camp. And at their best, I don't think there's that big a gap between these teams. And so Alabama, I know we're talking about them like an afterthought here. I actually think they're going to be good enough to win the game, and I think they'll do it.
The quarterback matchup is a fascinating one. You have the Heisman winner, Fernando Mendoza, on one side, maybe the first pick in the draft, and you have Ty Simpson, Jordan, who I think could play his way into the first round, first half of the first round. A lot at stake, I think, for both these quarterbacks in this game.
No doubt. The Ty Simpson side, his best is better than anybody's. It's better than Fernando Mendoza's best. The problem is we haven't seen the consistency of that from Ty Simpson, and Fernando Mendoza's floor and consistency has been much better. But Ty is the most to gain in this game. If he goes out there and lights it up against Indiana, they keep him clean. He doesn't turn the football over. We see the anticipation, the layered throws, the accuracy downfield, as Josh was referencing. He can absolutely play himself back into QB1. This race for quarterback one in the NFL draft next year is still wide open. Ty Simpson has great tape out there. We just haven't seen a ton of it the last couple weeks. But again, so much pressure on keeping him upright for Alabama. They have to do that to have any chance in this game.
How unusual is Alabama being a touchdown favorite, or excuse me, underdog? This is the biggest margin by which they are an underdog in any game since 2008. That was in the SEC championship game against Florida. I think that would have been the Tebow Florida teams. That's how long ago we are talking about here. And Joey, you were there in LA for the Rose Bowl, and you were telling us with the new audience joining us here at the top of the hour, the Indiana fans are there in full force, and easy to understand why. This is the biggest game that program has quite literally ever played.
Yeah, every step of the way for Indiana is brand new. And think about it. Indiana is favored over Alabama in football. That is something we've never said before. And so they're really excited to be here. And I tell you, it sort of makes me laugh when I listen to Josh and Jordan and myself, honestly. We keep expecting something from this Alabama team that they haven't shown us recently. They just haven't shown us, especially in the last month, that they can be anything different than what we've seen. They win football games. They beat Texas A&M, but the way they play the game is not going to be good enough to beat this Indiana team. Now, it is supposed to rain here. I don't know who that favors. We keep saying Alabama needs to run the football. They can't do it. I don't know what happens. This is the first time it's supposed to rain out here for a Rose Bowl in forever. And so I don't know how that changes this game, but I do know that this Indiana crowd, this Indiana team, they're excited to be here. They're excited to have their opportunity to be in this game. The fans have been crazy already a couple days before the game. It feels like Alabama's used to being in this situation where Indiana's a team is like, man, thank goodness we're here. Let's go have some fun.
I'm glad he mentioned the Rose Bowl. The weather, I should say. We were talking about it this morning. I can't remember there ever being a lot of rain at the Rose Bowl. I'm sure someone will jump up with an example immediately. I've been watching it my whole life. I don't recall that ever being a weather game. We'll see if it comes down to that. Final one, Joey, are you putting Georgia, a 6.5-point favorite against Ole Miss, are you putting the Bulldogs on upset alert?
Not the Georgia that we watched play in the SEC championship game. The Georgia we've watched play in the last month of the season has been really good, bit solid on defense. And when Georgia can get home with their front four, they're dangerous. This defense has played really well. And then you got Gunnar Stockton, who has just found a way to make plays in games. It's not the prettiest thing in the world. When you talk quarterbacks, he doesn't really get in that conversation with the Dantes, the Mendozas, the Ty Simpsons, but he is a playmaker and he finds ways to move the chains and make plays. He was amazing in that second half, going 12-12 against Ole Miss the first time around. I expect him to play well again. I think Georgia wins this football game.
Josh, give me this game here. Obviously, the Lane Kiffin of it all sort of hovers to some degree over all of it. Maybe it doesn't make any difference at all once the ball is kicked off. What are your big picture thoughts on this SEC matchup?
You just gave me my goal. My goal is not to mention his name once the ball's kicked off because I really don't think he's a factor here. What I do think is a factor, and even though I'm picking Georgia, why I would give Ole Miss a puncher's chance is because I think they may have the most dangerous quarterback in this entire tournament. Trinidad Chambliss is the guy that we still have the most unknown about. In other words, there's the most room between his head and his ceiling. But that is a weapon. Ole Miss scored touchdowns on their first 5 drives against Georgia in Athens, and that was his first SEC road start. It just so happens Gunnar Stockton also had his best game of the year against Ole Miss. The reason I can't go as far as to pick the upset is because, like Joey said, I can't envision Georgia not playing their best ball here. I've just been trained to expect that from Kirby Smart for so long. I think they have the staff advantage. They may not have the pound-for-pound quarterback advantage, but Gunnar Stockton's not losing this game. I don't think Georgia's losing this game.
Jordan, final thoughts. Quarterbacks and obviously a huge game for Ole Miss.
Yeah, Josh is right. Trinidad was spectacular because early in the matchup against Georgia, they blitzed him a lot. He used his athleticism. The ball came out quickly to playmakers in space, and Georgia didn't tackle well. Trinidad is dangerous. The weapons are dangerous. The problem in the first matchup, they forgot about Julian Sayin in the fourth quarter. He only had one rushing attempt and went for 12 yards. They threw the ball on first and second down and third down, obviously, for 2 straight drives to start that. One drive with a lead. One drive they were only down 5 points. They forgot about maybe their best player in Kewan Lacey. He's a little banged up, but I expect him to be featured in this game. And this is dangerous for Georgia because Ole Miss knows they had that game. They were the better team that day for 3.5 quarters, and it took a Herculean performance from Gunnar Stockton, as Joey mentioned, going 12 of 12 to ignite that comeback. Ole Miss, I think, believes they can win this game.
And we'll find out tomorrow night. Obviously, much more on these quarterfinals as we continue with this group, including why Fernando Mendoza has much more than just a CFP championship on the line. A lot of conversation about what his game will mean for his next stop. Could it involve a stop with Big Blue? Plus, 1 week left in the MVP race. Is it a